Hi, this is Pre-Algebra Lesson 7-3. Solve multi-step equations. In this lesson, we'll be able to solve multi-step equations and pairs of equations using more than one approach. Let's start with solve and discuss it. A water tank fills through two pipes. Water flows through one pipe at a rate of 25,000 gallons an hour, which is represented as X over here. And through the other pipe at 45,000 gallons an hour. Water leaves the system at a rate of 60,000 gallons an hour. So the water tank is filled through two pipes and goes out through one big pipe. Okay. So let's look at the problem. There are three of these tanks and each tank holds 1 million gallons. 1 million has how many zeros? 6 zeros. Each tank is half full. So right now is only 500,000 gallons. Okay. Water is entering and leaving a tank at the maximum amounts. Determine the number of hours it'll take to fill all three tanks. Okay. So right now, all three tanks are just halfway full. Right? But then they're going through the same speed with the two pipes over here and going out the same speed with one pipe. So you can see that the water is going to be filled in at the rate of 25,000 per hour and 45,000 per hour. It's going to leave every hour 60,000. Okay, and we want to know how long it'll take to fill all three tanks, which would be represented as what expression represents when it's filled fully. The tanks fill at the same rate and from 500,000 Well, first of all, let's simplify this expression first, okay? So 25,000 plus 45,000 is going to be 70,000. And 70,000 x minus 60,000 x is going to be 10,000 x, right? So every hour total, it's going to fill up by a speed of 10,000 x. Right? Right now, you have 500,000 gallons. So we just need to fill another 500,000 gallons. So how long would it be? So we're going to let that equal to 500,000. Okay, so 10,000 times how many hours? What number would be 500,000 is what we're looking for. So we can divide both sides by 10,000, which means you can, you can cancel out 4 zeros and then you get 50, okay? So after 50 hours, it will fill all three tanks. And you don't need to multiply 3 or divide by 3 or whatever because they're all working at the same time. If it fills this first tank, it also fills the other tanks. So you just need 50 hours, okay? They're working at the same time. It's not like they're working it separately, okay? So let's explain. Because the tanks fill at the same rate and x is equal to 50, it will take 50 hours to fill all 3 tanks is our answer. Can you solve the problem in more than one way? Yeah, of course. You can also draw a bar diagram. You can have different expressions. You can use logic. So there are multiple ways to solve this, but you should get the same answer of 50 hours. Let's look at focus on math practices. What are 2 different ways to simplify the expression 4 times 3x plus 7x plus 5 so that it equals 40x minus 20? Let's see. So you can use the distributive property to say, oh, I'm going to distribute the factor 4 out and then have 12x plus 28x plus 20. And it's going to equal to 40x minus 20, right? Plus 20, right? Plus 20. I think that's a typo, plus 20. Sorry. Okay, another way, you can combine like terms first. Combine like terms first. So 4 times 3x plus 7x plus 5 could be 4 times 10x plus 5. And then you can use the distributive property and say, well, that's 40x plus 20. Okay, so these are different ways. It depends on which order you want to go first for the multi-step equations, but you should still get the same answer. All right, let's look at the next page. How can you use the distributive property to solve multi-step equations? Example 1. Use the distributive property to solve a multi-step equation. A math teacher, is that Miss King, recorded the distances he rode his bike last week. He challenged, I guess not, his class to find the number of miles he rode on Thursday. Okay. How far did he ride on Thursday? Okay, so Thursday is represented as X. And then he wrote that Monday through Wednesday, he had 4x plus 3. And then Friday, he wrote x plus 7, Saturday, x plus 7. So if you add all of them, the total number of miles he rode could be written as another expression. Okay, but he's giving another information that the total number of miles he rode on Monday through Wednesday is the same as the total number of miles he rode on Thursday through Saturday. So you can set them equal to each other. 4x plus 3 is equal to x plus 7 plus x plus 7. Okay, and then you can solve for x. Right? So 4x plus 3 is equal to x plus 7 plus x plus 7, or you can write that as 2 times x plus 7 and then distribute a property. But that's 3x, and then plus 14. And then you can subtract 3x on both sides, you get x, and subtract 3 on both sides is equal to 11. So 11 miles was the challenge. And you can check your answer by substituting 11 on both all the expressions, and that's 11. 11 plus 7 is 18. 11 plus 7 is also 18. 11 times 4 is 44, plus 7 is 47. So if you add 11 plus 18, that should be 47. Okay, let's look at try a question. See if you can solve the equation 3 times x minus 5 minus 5x equals negative 25 plus 6x by yourself. Come back when you're ready for answers. Okay, So first step, you can use distributive property on the left side and get 3x plus 3 times -5 minus 5x is equal to -25 plus 6x. And you combine like terms, or you simplify the 3 times -5 and get 3x minus 15 over here. And you finally you combine like terms. -5x and 3x is going to be -2x minus 15 is equal to -25 plus 6x. And then what do? You add 2x on both sides. If you add 2x on both sides, that's gone. You just have -15. That's equal to -25 plus 8x. And then you have plus 25 on both sides. That means you have 10 here is equal to 8x. So dividing 10 by 8, you get 10 over 8 or 5 over 4 if you simplify. Good. So can you add x to -5 on the left side of the equation as the first step? Can you add x to -5x? Can you add x to -5x? No, not directly. Why? There's a parentheses. You have to follow the order, right? No. The x within the parentheses will actually be 3x after the distributive property is. So the order of operations is very important. All right, let's look at example 2. Distribute a negative coefficient to solve equations. So in part A, you can use distributive property. And if you have a negative coefficient, remember that you have to have the negative with you. So -5 times x and -5 times -2 would be after your distributive property is applied. You have -5x plus 10 is equal to -25, and then you solve it out normally, and you should get x is equal to 7. About part B, what if you just have negative and the parentheses x minus 3? That is still a negative sign, which means this whole thing is a negative number. You have to distribute that negative as well, because that's -1. If there's no number, if there's no coefficient, but it's still negative, that's still a negative. You can't ignore the negative. So that negative sign means you have -1 times x minus 3. So that means you have 3 plus -1 times x, so that's -x, plus -1 times -3, so that's plus 3 is equal to 25, okay? And then you can also add x on both sides, and you get 25 plus x is equal to 3 plus 3, that's 6. And then you can subtract 25 on both sides and get -19. If you don't want to divide by -1. But later, if you have -x, remember you need to divide it by -1 on both sides. And your final answer is actually -19, not positive 19. Okay, so careful with the negative coefficients. Example 3. Use the distributive property on both sides of an equation. So what if you have parentheses on both sides? That's okay. You just use the same rule on both sides. So use the distributive property on both sides. It's going to be a little bit more messy because you have fractions, but that's okay. That's 1 over 4x plus 3 over 4. And that's 1 over 2x plus 2 over 2, which is 1. Okay. And then you can subtract 1 over 2x on both sides. And 1/4 minus 1 over 2 is going to be -1/4. So -x over 4 plus 3 over 4 is equal to 1. Subtract 3 over 4 on both sides, and you get -1 over 4x is equal to 1 over 4. Okay. It looks like x is on the denominator, but Okay, so these are the same thing. You multiply x, right? And then you multiply the reciprocal, -4 on both sides, and you get -1. Okay, so be careful with the negatives. So let's try let's try it over here and see if you can do it by yourself. And come back when you're ready for answers. Okay, so you're gonna use the distributive property on both sides. Be careful with the negative coefficient. Okay, -3 times -7 plus -3 times -x is equal to 1/2x plus 1/2 times 2. Okay, and you have negative times negative, so that's +21 plus -3 times -x, so that's +3x is equal to, okay, I'm gonna put arrow instead of equal sign, is equal to 1/2x. 2/2 is 1 plus 1. Okay, and now we're going to subtract 1/2x on both sides. And we have 21 plus 2.5, 2.5 x is equal to 1. And then we're going to subtract 21 on both sides and get 2.5x is equal to 1 minus 21. And that's going to be -20. So x is equal to -20 over 2.5. Or 2 1/2 is equal to 5/2. So the reciprocal is -20 times 2/5, if that's easier. Okay, and so x is equal to -8 is the correct answer. All right, let's summarize our lesson. So in this lesson, we talked about multi-step equations. When solving multi-step equations, sometimes you distribute first and then combine like terms. And be careful with the negatives, okay? But sometimes you combine like terms first and then distribute. So it depends. That was lesson 7-3, solving multi-step equations. If you have any more questions, please ask Ms. King in class. Otherwise, we'll continue with the next video in the next lesson. 7-4 is about equations with no solutions or infinitely many solutions. So special cases, right? I'll see you in the next video. Bye.